Hey everyone, and welcome to the 45th episode of We're All in the Same Boat. I'm your host, Luke Roxfield, and today I'm only here once again with Michael.
Special edition, Mike and Luke podcast.
Yeah, really. We can go back to my old name, except it'll just be the Mike and Luke podcast.
The Mike, Luke, Rock Snap podcast.
The Rock Snap. Yeah. As always, you can check us out on iTunes and SoundCloud and leave us a review because we know you're a great fan and we know you want to do it and
you
we
are the
want
best.
you to do it. You can also tweet at us at WAITSB podcast. Man, I hope you guys remember it better than me because I have to think about it every time I say that name.
Just the Waitspa podcast.
I know, but like spelling stuff, there's some people that can spell really quickly. Like they can spell it and hear it and spell it out in their head. Like if someone spells something to them, they can immediately get the word. Mm-hmm. I have to like think about it.
To like envision it in your mind.
Yeah. I'm like putting the words back together like a tower. Like when they say like, like WAITSB podcast. And I'm like, SB. Wait, what were the other ones? I just like putting the pieces together. That's why I'm a math person.
I don't really know how my word process is. I can read pretty fast, though.
I can read okay, but not really very fast.
Like I'm the kind of like I would like look at someone's phone, like glance at it, and accidentally read their whole message. I'm like, oh, I know everything.
Do you have the message thing turned on in your notifications on your iPhone, or do you have it turned off?
Like the group text?
No, where it shows a preview of the message.
Oh yeah, I do.
You have it turned. Which one? On.
I have it. So it's a preview. It's on.
Okay. And there's some people. Most people I know turn it off because they're like, you never know what someone might text you.
Well, that way, if someone texts me and I don't want to answer them, but I don't want them to see that I've read it. Now everybody knows my secret, but like I'll just look at the the preview, and usually a text is not that long, so I can either read it all or figure it all out pretty fast, and then I get back to it.
That's right. If you have to be strategic about what you see, some people turn off when they read the message, but the way I see it, one, sometimes I just want you to know that I read the message and that I'm done talking, but then the other part of me is like, if I don't want to talk to you, then I should just man up and say it. I shouldn't just be like, oh, I just didn't get the message yet when I really did.
Well, I don't have read receipts on for texts on my iPhone, but I have like Facebook and stuff because like
I have it on my phone.
I used to turn on like if I was talking to somebody, like having a serious conversation, because I wanted them to know that I've like seen it, but I don't have it on, not because I don't want them to know that I'm ignoring them, but because I don't want them to think that I'm ignoring them. Like if I accidentally open it, I don't answer them right away, or if I don't have an answer yet, I don't want them to be like, oh, he's just like ignoring me now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I know everyone has different opinions on that, whether or not they want people to see that they read their messages, but I just don't care.
I think it makes sense if you're talking to somebody all the time, like if you're talking to like a significant other.
Mm-hmm.
I would turn them on. But now you can do it like for specific people. That's a lot better. I definitely don't want everybody to know that I'm ignoring them.
Yeah, I just don't. There are sometimes I didn't used to do this. Like when I was younger, if I got a text message, I would immediately be like, like read it really quick and then like immediately respond. It's like I would have anxiety when I didn't respond because it's just like, there's a task that needs to be completed. Wait a second. I have 2 notes. Oh, okay. I scared myself. I have 2 notes in my notebook that say podcast 45. So I was like, was this podcast 46? But I just left it. So it's funny because I have one note in my notes that is most of the stories, the ones I just told you.
Mm.
And then I have one other podcast 45 note, and it's just got one. It just got one topic on it, and I forgot about this topic. I'm glad I wrote it down. So I was at the gym running, just on the treadmill.
Nice.
And that means I was in view, or I had the view of the TVs, and you know how they always play like, here's a bunch of food commercials.
Yeah, it's like
a
food
psychopath
infomercials and like lame news.
Yeah, it's like CNN and food, and then maybe an ab workout thing that they're trying to sell. But so those were playing, and one of the things that they played was like one of those lapless pools where you just swim.
Oh, like the
you know?
infinity pool.
Yeah, that's what it's called. I couldn't think about what it was called, but they had one of those playing, and I was thinking about it. I don't know why I thought about this, but I was like, what if you took like 10 of those and put them all into one pool, but on different sides, so it was all going towards the middle, and then like you just threw someone in the pool and they would just be stuck in there forever and drown.
It's just like, it sounds like some like horror movie thing where it's like, haha, like really on
It's
Saw.
like, and it's like a villain. It's like a super villain throws him in this pool, and because how would you get out?
Wait, well,
You can't outswim it.
If the water is going like, is the water's all dressing to the middle?
Yeah, I was
Okay,
thinking about the physics of it.
Yeah. For a second, I thought like, oh yeah, if it just follow the current because it'll push you out. But if it's all going to the middle, then
No, they're
You
all.
just
It's like
pushed in the middle.
yeah, it'd be like if you had a bunch of snipers pointed at you and you were in one spot and they all surrounded you, they'd all be shooting you from every direction. So that's what the jets would do. Like you'd be trying to swim one direction and they just push you to the middle.
Yeah.
They keep pushing you to the middle until eventually you were just too tired and you would just sink and drown.
Maybe you could swim like in a circle, kind of like when you're swimming against the tide. It'd be a lot harder.
No, but it would just push you in though because they're in every direction.
No, I don't know how to do it.
I know. It's like once you go in, you can't get out. You
the
put
end.
one foot in.
Ah! It like sucks you to the middle.
It's like you'd go into the edge and then all of a sudden you'd like start losing control of the edge. Like no, and then you're just stuck. You can't get out. No one can get you out.
Yeah, that's
You know, if anyone jumps in to save you, now you're both stuck.
They're also dead. I was
The
thinking.
only thing
Go ahead.
Well, the only thing I was thinking about like that maybe would counter it is the fact that if all the water is getting pushed to the center, wouldn't the water go down?
I feel like it would. It would drag you down. Once you
Like
get
it
to the
would.
bottom.
The water would basically be like a bunch of wheels, sort of.
Wait, so maybe if you could like, if you went to the bottom of the pool, you could walk to the wall and try to like jump up and grab the wall and pull yourself up.
I think that
That'd be really hard,
what the water would do is like it would be coming out like if we just think about one jet,
Mhm.
it would go forwards and then it would hit the current going the other direction and they would both go down. Okay? And then they'd go back towards the jet and it would go in a circle like that, I think. So if you swam down, that's the other thing too is the water would be pushing you down. It'd be pushing you underwater.
I think once
But
you got
like-
to the middle of the pool, it'd start pushing you down. Yeah.
Yeah, but like what you could do. So there's two things I was thinking about. If you swim down, the current's gonna pull you towards the jets because it's going under. But as soon as you got up to try and grab the wall, the jets would push you back again.
I think you just thought
So
of
this-
the ultimate death trap, Luke. Pretty diabolical.
I was literally like running on the gym, like thinking through, like I could take over the world with this thing.
It's like
But,
all
like,
the world's leaders throw them
If you think
in.
about it, though, like if it was far enough
Infinity pool.
out that it was like, let's say the pool was as big as like the base of a house,
Mhm.
and then the jets were all around. Like you could be in the middle, and you could just be standing there, and none of the water would be moving. But anytime you tried to get out of the pool, you wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. I was thinking when you first said, like, I was on a treadmill and I saw this thing about the infinity pool, and I was like, dude, you're basically on infinity ground. Because you're just, like, running. And it doesn't
That's
stop.
right. You guys want to go use the infinity ground? You mean the treadmill? Yeah, well, if you want to be boring. It's funny, too, because it's like someone said that bicycles are like acoustic motorcycles.
Yeah.
It'd be like what would it be? It would be like the
Acoustic road.
Yeah, or the acoustic infinity pool.
So I used to say that about, like, lots of stuff when I was a teenager. Like, to me, like, contacts are like the electric guitars of, like, glasses. Or, like, longboards or acoustic skateboards.
That's true.
In my mind, it's like, the acoustic version is the one you can just take anywhere and just use easily. With electric guitar, you need to have an amp and power and stuff. But with the acoustic guitar,
It's
you
like-
just play it wherever you want.
You're like, dude, is that acoustic? And it's like, you mean portable? Yeah.
Maybe that's why people get confused. People ask me all the time, like, is that an acoustic guitar? Is that a rhythm guitar? Or is that a lead guitar? Can you play both?
Wait, really? They say that to you a lot?
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
It's not, usually it's older people. Young people usually know what's going on.
It's like they played Rock Band too much and they thought they're two different instruments. Like, I'm a lead guitar, you're a rhythm guitar, and they're not the same.
Yep. Well, also, I guess when I was a kid, I kind of thought that some guitars, I knew you could play anything on any guitar, but I thought that some guitars were, like, made for certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Like I figured that a guitar like a Les Paul with a deeper sound would be a rhythm guitar, and a guitar that like had a higher pitch would be like a Tele, or a Strat would be like a lead guitar.
That always was weird to me, how like you can change the tone of a guitar, but it's still playing the same note. Like when I was younger, I was like, how are you making it lower, but it's the same note?
That still baffles me.
Yeah, I mean, it has to do with the frequencies that you're hearing, because you're turning down the higher frequencies and letting the lower frequencies go. But it's weird because it's like, so it's lower, but it's the same pitch.
Yeah, it's like different tones, like of voices.
Yeah.
Like you hear people, two people sing the same song. One sounds like hey yeah, the other one's like hey yeah. Those are both the same octave, but one's just sounded way lower than the other.
Yeah, the same note too. It's like, what in the world?
Music is weird.
Yeah, I remember not understanding that as a kid. It's funny though, because I remember one music guy was talking to me, or talking. I don't remember. He was talking to a couple of us about like music, and he was like, "All right, really quick," because he was a music guy, but he was more of like a poetry, like note music person. He wasn't really a math person, and so he was like, "Quick, what's a dotted eighth note?" And like immediately, I'm like, "A 3/16 note," like. Because like I'm a math person, so it was so easy. Immediately I knew the answer. But then if you were gonna ask me stuff about chord progressions or like, okay, well, what note would go well with this note? I wouldn't be able to just tell you. I'd have to think about it. But the math of it, like the rhythm and like the division and time signatures and all that stuff is like cake. It's so easy.
We can get into that. We can get into that if you want to, because that's like there's lots of stuff you can talk about there. Music, because I'm pretty good at music theory. I know quite a bit. I'm not like a crazy jazz theory master, but I know all about chords and all about I know quite a bit about rhythm and stuff.
So do you know about like chord progressions or something? Like if I was playing certain chords, what progressions would sound good on a bass?
Yeah, like if you played for instance, if you played a G chord and I wanted to make it sound more somber, I could play a B over it, which is a third of that chord. Or if I wanted to make it sound like more powerful, I could play a D, which is the fifth of that chord. So it had like a kind of like a power chord feel. Or I could play an E over it and turn that G chord into an E minor 7.
What about things like relative minors and majors? What would that be for A? Is it G? G minor?
That's F sharp.
F sharp.
It's always 4/2 steps below. So if you look at a guitar and you play an A, and you know Carol of the Bells?
Yeah, the circle of fifths.
So there's like
simplest song ever.
There's like that shape you do is like you got the root note. Say you start on A, B, then C. There's like A, and then you skip a fret, then there's B, and then B goes right to C. That shape, if you go down from C, C, B, A is a relative minor of C.
Right.
So if you go back either 3 scale degrees or 4 keys or 4 frets, you'll get to the relative minor.
Now, did you learn music notes first, or did you learn tabs first? Or, I mean, actually, do you know how to play because some people know. All right, hold on. Let me think through what I'm saying. I started that conversation 4 different ways all at once.
Do you know? Do you want? I don't know.
Actually, you know what? Never mind. What I was going to say was some people that are really good musicians don't even know sheet music, like notes. And some people know tabs, some people know chords, whatever. And what I was wondering is, what was your musical journey? Did you learn how to write music? Did you learn notes and piano? Or
so now I know how to read sheet music, but I rarely ever do. I'm not very good at it. But I started out playing like punk rock and worship music. So I just started out with chords, but the way I learned was pretty unconventional, and I liked the way I learned because it was really applicable. It was really practical. So basically what I did is I first learned every chord I could think to find. And then this might sound like a waste of time, but for me it really helped. I memorized every note on the fretboard. I had a piece of paper that had them all on it, and I would like hook my guitar up to a tuner, just play up and memorize where they were, which isn't that hard. Like for people at home, if you want to learn guitar, it's really easy. If you memorize where the dots are.
Especially when you start learning like one line or something like that, and then you just learn like what I know. I remember when I learned the different notes on the guitar, I was like learning specific chords and stuff. Like I was like, okay, I know this is where the D power chord is, A, G, F, B. Like figured out where all those were on the first 2 strings.
Yep.
And then from there, being able to go, okay, but I know the fifth of, this chord is this note.
Exactly.
And so I know if I'm playing this power chord that I know what this note is, and then I know the octave, so now I know where the second note is. Like that's how I learned.
So then if you know where A is, and you can find D easily, you can find the next octave up. Exactly. So literally that's what I did. I learned all the notes, and then I took the chords and just like looked at each note and every chord, and I eventually like figured out like the patterns between them. So I was able to like make whatever chord I wanted to make at that point. And then I started learning. I took a piano lesson, like a piano class, when I was in high school. It was like a homeschool piano class, wasn't that intense, but I learned scales there, and that like helped me pick it up a little bit more.
Everyone's just playing chopsticks.
Yeah, I think I like wrote a song for like my like little piano demonstration, and then I took one music theory class in college. It was pretty easy, like not trying to brag or anything, but I got 112 in it. But for my like the final was kind of crazy because I didn't do very well because it wasn't a cumulative final. It was on one section that I thought I'd read, but I didn't. But I also had to play it. I had to like get a piece of music and like learn it from the sheet music. But I picked a song and I learned it by ear, and then I played it like looking at the sheet music. So I kind of cheated. But
Cheater.
I don't know.
I know that like I was talking to somebody about this the other day where one of my friends, I was like, what if somebody was reading, like someone was so good at music, you know, when you're listening to music and you hear a note combination, like a drum and a bass and a guitar, and they just play a certain progression. Maybe they're kind of different. Like the guitar plays these few notes and the bass plays different notes, but together, when you hear them together, they just sound good.
Yeah.
And like if it's really good, this is at least what I do. I'm like, oh, that was cool. Like I'll say that like when the music's playing, because it's like, oh, that was cool. Imagine if there's somebody, and actually we don't have to imagine this because I know they exist, but somebody who could just like read sheet music and then like they'd be like, oh man, oh that's good. Like they get excited by reading the sheet music because they know what it's going to sound like. I mean, that was Beethoven.
Yeah, I've seen people like that. They're like really like, oh, this is good. This is cool.
That's insane.
For me,
that's so crazy to me.
Like I understand sheet music, but I don't. It's like a language. I'm not fluent in it. I can't look at something and know how it's going to sound. I have to have an idea of how the song goes before I can.
I mean, I could like
sheet music.
Sheet music would be harder for me, but like even tabs, like I could just be like, okay, so it's okay, I see what this is like. But if it's like just sit there and read it, and I get that adrenaline excitement because I know, oh man,
I recognize that. I know that. Yes.
Oh, this will sound amazing.
Tabs are actually kind of hard for me because it's like, especially when you learn really complicated songs, it's hard to know which note is which when you're looking at tabs. This is like, you know, it says like 5, 6, 8, and you're like, well, which one of these is which? So usually I'll kind of use tabs in a combination of like listening and just kind of learn it by ear, and use the tabs to figure out like the shapes.
Well, tabs are annoying because tabs, unless they have the notes above them, it's not always easy for me to know what I'm playing.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like,
you basically have to look at the
is.
tab. Right. You have to look at the tab and you have to know the song.
Exactly.
You know, like I have to know the strumming pattern to kind of know what the tabs are doing, or like when to switch chords or when to switch notes. And sometimes I don't know the song, and that's kind of annoying. Because you're like, does this note hit on beat 1? I don't know. It's just a bunch of tabs.
Yeah, which one is this?
So you can't really feel like solo, bam, beat 1. It's like I don't really know where this note lands, so I have to play the whole song and figure it out on my own. So that's kind of
difficult
challenge.
And guitar is interesting because on a lot of other instruments, every chord you play anywhere is the same. Like on piano, you play a C sharp minor, it's the same everywhere, every octave. But on guitar, you know, different places or different voicings are like way different to play physically. You gotta jump with your fingers in weird ways. Like this is a song I'm trying to learn right now that has, it's like an E flat 9, which isn't a crazy hard chord, but the arrangement of the chord is. It's got like, it's on like 4 different strings, and each one is like 2 frets away from each other. So.
Oh, isn't that what they play in like Message in a Bottle? I think.
I don't know. Probably. There's a hard chord in there.
It's like, yeah, it's on 1 fret and then like down a string but over 2 frets, and then down a string and over 2 frets. So you're like, your hand's like a spider.
Yeah, this chord's like this. It's like, so it's got an E, an E flat, an F sharp, and a G sharp, all on different strings.
I think that is the chord. I think that is the chord that they play in Message in a Bottle. It's like it's like those really like wide notes.
Maybe,
but like, your hand is like a spider, right?
Yeah,
going
like
up.
A spider, and I can't push to that fast enough. Like in this particular song, that chord is played for 1 beat. By the time I finger that chord, it's over. I'm like, dang it. That's the weird thing about guitar compared to some other instruments. It's like the chords are like really hard to switch to because you gotta build the muscle memory so hardcore before you can get there.
Yeah, and guitar, I've always thought that about guitar versus a lot of other things because like with piano, even though piano is difficult, I think that there's less mechanics to a piano.
Every piano player I know says it's the easiest instrument.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Well, all the notes are in one place.
Yep.
You don't have like the same note in multiple different places. You, all the notes look the same. So, for example, like where a C is, if you look at a C note, it's always next to the two black keys, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can kind of like get familiar with the same chords. Like with the guitar, it's like, well, it's all the same. They're just strings. You know, you just have to know the notes. There's nothing to make you recognize, oh wait, this is a C here because it's next to the two black notes, right?
Yep.
And it's like a percussion instrument, but you're not, I don't know, you're not multitasking with a guitar. A guitar is a lot more multitasking, I would say.
Yeah. It's also can be more expressive too than a piano because you can do bends, you can really change the attack on the strings. You can finger pick, you can use a pick, you can palm mute. You can like bend the neck of your guitar to like detune a little bit. Like there's lots of cool stuff you can do. It gets pretty crazy. The guitars are awesome.
When wait, I know you've been in like a significant number of bands, you know, over the last couple of years. But when were you in your first band? Is there any interesting stories that happen? Any fights? I know bands are always fighting. I know they like to fight.
So I was pretty chill, but there was one guy who was pretty annoying. So all right, so I started playing guitar when I was like 16, and but I started a band maybe within that year. It was a band. Me and my friends Clay and Christian started a band. Christian played drums. He was like in the drum line for a long time, and Clay played guitar, and I played guitar. And we started a band called Avenged as a Martyr. It was kind of like a mix of like System of a Down and Rise Against, but not that good. Just really loud.
With the name Avenged.
Yeah. So it was pretty cool. And then we like got this guy who went to our church who wanted to join the band as a singer, which he couldn't really sing, but I didn't really think about that before I said get me in the band. But it was fine. He was my friend. I was like, yeah, let's all be in a band together. But apparently
it's like, yeah, man, we could be in a band. He starts singing, yeah, that was not smart that I did that.
Well, it didn't really matter. So before he was in the band, we played like maybe 2 shows. We played like for like my church's like a different church's youth event. We played for another church's outreach thing. It was like while I was still in high school. And then we tried to play a show with him. Well, not a show, but like for our youth group on Wednesday night. And we were sound checking, and he was singing, and his mom was in the back talking to somebody else. And she started laughing about something, but she wasn't. He thought she was laughing at her. He thought she was laughing at him.
Oh, no.
So he started crying. And it was really weird. And later on,
it's just like it's like the it's like, Mom, I'm gonna sing. Sings one note. Mom starts laughing, and it's like hopes and dreams smashed forever. My mom thinks I'm laughable.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. And then like later, he left the band, and I found out like years later that we had beef apparently because he felt like I was taking over the band, and I was like, what? I started the band. How did I take it over?
For the band? Even then,
I wasn't even like a taskmaster. Like everything was up to a vote. I wasn't even doing anything. But it was just like a high school band, you know. It wasn't like a real band.
Do you think that? I know I have a whole discussion going on with one of my friends about his band and like, you know, stuff going on and trying to be perfectionist versus releasing stuff. And obviously I'm going to debate him on the podcast with this one day. But I'm more like, let's get stuff out. Don't be so much of a perfectionist that you never do anything. You know, because I know people that I think I will be a better movie maker if I make 5 movies in 1 year instead of one amazing movie in 5 years.
Yeah, I think so.
I think I'll be, because you learn so much and you're just like, all right, we'll just, instead of like, how can I salvage this film that we made mistakes on, like I've been doing. It's like,
you look back like, oh, last time that didn't work.
Let's take notes and move on to the next one.
Yeah.
That's what I kind of think of things, at least.
I know in my mind that the best way is to get it till it's good enough and put it out there. But the way that I am is I'm like a perfectionist and I never put things out. I have like, basically all my songs are unfinished songs. They're all demos technically. So for me, I see the value in just putting it out or just like, oh, I can't figure out what to put here. So whatever I come up with, it's just going to be good enough unless I like somehow magically think of something better when I move on.
I mean, if you had like a goal where it was like, I'm going to record and release 1 song a week for 6 weeks in a row and then just see what happens. Where it's like, I can't be too perfectionist about it, because it has to be released. Kind of like we do with this podcast, where it's like we're just going to keep making episodes,
Yep.
and then before we know it, we start doing things. We start coming up with habits and ideas, and we change the format around just because we just keep doing it, as opposed to being like, hey guys, let's spend the next year planning the perfect one podcast episode. See how stupid that would be?
Yeah, that'd be dumb.
Yeah.
But it would be amazing. Yeah, actually,
I feel like it wouldn't be. I feel like it would not be good because we wouldn't be prepared.
that's true.
Because
You
we
wouldn't
wouldn't.
know.
We don't have experience. We just have like anticipated experience, which could be completely wrong.
True that. Actually, it's funny you say like releasing a song a week, because I had some kind of goal like that. It was to maybe release like a song a month, or just finish a song a month. I was starting real slow, and I haven't done that yet. I have like 3 songs
Do
that
it.
I'm working on currently.
I'd say do it right now.
The hard part is like for me, like I'm not like a great lyricist. I think I'm pretty good at making music. I can always make the music that I want to make, like with relative ease. I can come up with stuff that I want to hear, but I'm not good at lyrics. I'm not a great singer, so for me, coming up with lyrics and vocals is just not what I'm best at. And most songs involve lyrics and vocals, so that's my biggest stumbling block. But when it comes to instrumental stuff, it's pretty much done. But also like you're like, okay, well once I get the vocals, I'll know how to arrange this. Right now, it's just like, oh, I have an intro, a verse, and a chorus. And now it's here.
I really try to push people to complete things. I'm really happy with the direction my life has gone since I've decided like I'm gonna do this thing. I'm gonna complete pieces of it. I'm not gonna like have unfinished stuff, which my vlogs with this podcast and with my movie. So I always try to get people to do it.
Because I'm working on a lot of like solo music now, and I'd much rather be like, hey, check out my album or my EP, than be like, hey, listen to this demo on my phone. Just because I love like as soon as I make a song, even if it's not done yet, I'm like, I want to show everybody this is awesome, because
Right.
the music that I make is music I want to hear, so to me it's like my favorite kind. So I get super stoked about it. But sometimes I do that, and then I'll just move on to something else, and I have like 2 or 3 unfinished songs that
Right.
all need to be done.
I'd say you should just make a release date and then like just say July 20th, I want to have an EP. And then that's it, and start telling people that. And then at least then it's like, oh crap, well now I got to do it.
Got accountability.
Because I've made a goal. Because it's always easy to not fail if you don't make goals. But if you make goals, then it's like, well, I'd rather fail with goals than not make any goals at all and fail anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true.
But if you also said like, I'm going to release an album or an EP on this date, then it's like, all right, well, I can work on a song today or not, but that EP has to come out, so I better make smart decisions now. But I don't know. That's what I really try to get people to do stuff like that. Usually people don't, though.
My goal actually is to put an EP out by the end of this year.
So
So
if 2019 hits and you don't have an EP out, you said EP or an album?
let's start with EP.
It's like, I mean,
if I get
EP.
if I get to an EP and I still have like several months left, I'll keep going until if it's album length by then.
Right,
it's album
but the
length.
point is like if that was a goal, you fail if you don't have an EP out, some sort of EP out by 2019.
Right.
January 1st, 2019, you failed the goal if you don't have one out.
Yep. So I would probably.
But see, it's like a very like measurable goal.
Yeah, I think it is, and I already have like I just got to finish the songs that I already have. So I could totally do it.
Do it. Then
I
you
will.
can say you did it.
I will, and I did.
It's official now.
All right,
It's
guys.
on the record.
January 1st, 2019. Keep your ears out for Michael Demas.
An EP by Michael will be out by then.
Woo!
Yep.
So
You know,
I gotta think of what I want to do, because I've always wanted to start make a techno album called Microwaves. Think that'd be kind of cool. It's kind of cheesy, but I think it's funny. Maybe I'll do that. Plus, I don't need lyrics for
Microwaves.
electronic music, so I already have
be interesting.
1.5 songs done.
When you were talking about writing music and making music that you like, that's what I tell people about eggs. Because it's like, everyone's like, if I tell people, I'm like, my eggs are pretty, like the eggs that I make, like scrambled eggs I make, they're pretty good. Like, in my opinion. That's what I say. I say, in my opinion, they're really good. And people can get kind of like, look who's bragging. And it's like, stop! I'm not saying they're amazing. I'm just saying out of all the eggs I've had, they're my favorite. That's it.
Yep.
And it's like everyone else in the world could hate them, but they're my favorite. Like
These are
the
my
eggs that I
eggs.
make,
I love them.
I like better than any other eggs I've ever had. My eggs are my favorite.
That's interesting.
But
Like,
that's just I know how to make them.
a lot of people who make stuff, they hate their own stuff, or they hate listening to their own stuff, or
Yeah.
watching their own stuff, which I find really weird. Like, I guess I get how if you're on tour, you sing the same songs every day, you get tired of them. But literally, I'll record just like a crappy demo of a song, and I'll listen to it like all day. After I've already finished listening to it all day when I made it, I'll just keep listening to it. Because to me, it's like, oh man, this is like what was in my mind, and now it's in my ears. Like,
Yeah, that's what I people do that with a lot of stuff. Like I do that with movies. If I edit something, like those trailers, I'll just watch them over and over and over again. Like just repeat, play it, watch it. As soon as it's done,
yeah, because
start it
I
over
worked
and watch
hard
it
on
again.
this. I want to enjoy it, and
or especially if you get it, you're like, I got it,
yeah,
nailed it.
and you're looking
wanna
at
watch
like,
it.
like this is what I want to see. So like I made it, and now I can watch it.
It'd be like if you were a skateboarder and you did like a perfect kickflip, and then you could just be like, whoa, let's rewind and do it again.
Yep.
Like if you could just rewind it and do it again and again and again, that'd be awesome. That's
Yeah,
what it's
that's
like.
Creating is awesome.
Yeah, I think it's worth it. A lot of people play video games, and video games are fine. But I just would rather make something,
Yeah, I've been trying to
record
get into that mode.
something or something.
I don't play video games really ever, but oftentimes on my downtime, if I'm not, like usually most of my music stuff is not me writing music, it's me playing music with other people. And right now it's not necessarily my music. Like I play for my friend's band who, it's called The Burning Hearts, by the way. We're coming out with an album in July, I think.
Whoa, shameless plug.
But, it's mainly like other people's music or church music and stuff. So when I do have a time to work on my own music, I'm just tired in general. But I'm trying to make it more of a priority. Cause
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like if there's a way to get it systematized. That's me in general right now. I'm trying to figure out how to do as much as possible without hitting those burnout moments.
yeah, for me, it's like time in the day. For instance, like this past week has been super busy, but it's been fun. But like I get up, I either go to the gym or I sleep in, go to work, and if I didn't go to the gym in the morning, I go to the gym after work.
Hold on, stop. You gotta stop because it was like, man, these days are too difficult. Start my day off by sleeping in.
Well, we'll sleep until like 8 if I don't wake up at 6 to go to the
It's
gym.
kind of funny.
Sleep
It's like
in a
I
little
get
bit,
up, I start the day off by sleeping in, and then
Wake
I
up,
take a nap,
go back to
and then I
bed.
eat something.
You wake up, you go to work, and then I get off work, and then I go to a rehearsal, and then I get home, and it's like 10 o'clock, and I'm like, well, if I want to be alive tomorrow, I should probably go to sleep now.
Now, what if you could give advice about trying to make yourself more, I don't know, energized? Like, how do you motivate yourself to get up when the alarm goes off and you want to sledgehammer it? Like, do you have any advice on like what you've used to motivate yourself to get more things done? Because that's a long day.
Yeah, for getting up, I just have to do it. There's no special trick for me. I got an actual alarm clock, not a phone, so it's super freaking annoying if I don't wake
Is
up.
your phone away from your bed?
It's near my bed, but I don't.
Oh, never mind.
I don't look at it too much before I go to sleep. I generally put on a podcast on my phone and go to bed, and I put it like on airplane mode or whatever. I try not to look at it too much. I don't anymore. But
I mean, like I said, I moved my phone away from my bed. Like I put it on the desk, like across the room.
how do you hear your podcast?
I don't listen to podcasts when I go to bed.
I'm the kind of
But I
person
will.
if I'm trying to sleep and I have any thoughts, I will just think all night. So podcasts are really good.
I can do that a little bit. I'll put on TV. I know you're not supposed to watch TV before you go to bed, but I feel like TV is at least a step better than looking at my phone 6 inches away
Yeah.
and then scrolling. Like refresh and scroll, like it like hypes me up. But like if I just put on like a video, a stupid like interview video or something on YouTube.
Yeah, you can
I just
super
don't have-
passively watch TV, whereas like on the phone you're like holding it and then you have to worry about dropping it and losing it.
When you're like actively replying and commenting and talking to people and thinking through what you're doing as opposed to just passively listening to something. Or
I hate. Do you ever? Well, I'm sure you have. Like everyone does this. You're up late and you're just on Facebook, like just looking at it. No one else is
hating
awake.
every minute of it.
No one else is awake for you to interact with. You're just on Facebook and you're like, you wake up the next day like, oh, I'm so tired. and it's my freaking fault. All I did was look at Facebook all night.
I hate it. Like,
get
I
mad
feel
at
like I
myself.
get on any of those things and I just scroll. Nothing. Like, just
yeah.
nothing. The only thing I'm doing is moving my thumb.
Rolling
That's what I got out of it.
There's nothing good there. You're like, oh, maybe I'll find something cool. There's never anything cool. Friends
You're like,
pregnant again.
Guys, you never know. Like, maybe someone will talk to me. They won't. Maybe I'll find something cool. You won't.
You won't. There's nothing. Just emptiness. Yep.
I don't know. I've been pushing people in general on things that it's mostly like my own discoveries, like getting things done, making projects, investing money outside of work, saying hello to people and using their name. Like, all these, I'm gonna write a book, the 20s life after college book, because I
How
feel
to
like
live life.
everybody has questions about that.
That'd be a
How
good
do you
book.
make friends after college? That kind of stuff.
That's an
People talk
interesting
about
thing.
that.
I was talking to my friend about that a while back about like, so I was raised in church and I still go to church really regularly. So it's easy for me to make friends because I just go to church and make friends there. But we were like,
Well, if you have friends too, like if you know one or two people, that's always good. You can springboard off of that.
yeah,
That's what I do. But if you go somewhere and you don't know anybody at all, that's when it starts to be a little bit more tricky.
yeah, like a lot of people
Depending on
after
where you are.
after high school, they just go to work and everyone they know is from work.
Mm-hmm.
And generally, from what I hear, people, your work people aren't usually your friends. They're just your work friends or your coworkers. So you have no real like close companion, like camaraderie or close like relationships to talk about your stuff or to have a good time.
Yeah,
It's
it's
really
kind of weird,
interesting
especially
these
if you
days.
work directly with them. Like I know people at my office that I don't work with, and they're like closer friends to me than the people I work with directly. Because it's not like it's almost like they're not coworkers, because you just see them they're just at work together, working with different people.
You get to interact
All
with
that
them
stuff.
because you want to. It's like, oh, I'm not forced to hang out with you. I am.
I do think that forcing people to hang out does make people friends, though.
Yeah, I've heard you say that before. You mentioned that like about school, like you're all in the same class, you can't become friends. It totally
Yeah,
happens.
because instead of you being like, "Hey, let's be friends now," it's just like you are doing the same things,
Yep.
and you're around each other all the time. So who else are you going to talk to? So you start talking, and before you know it, you become friends.
I think it's
That's the very cartoon version.
yeah. So I had a friend in high school who we went to college. He moved away. I stayed in the same area in college, and like we talked about we almost went to the same school, and we talked about like rooming together. He's like, nah, I think I'd rather like find a new roommate just to make more friends. I was like, okay, that's fine. He's like, I'm not breaking up with you, Michael. Like, it's not that. I'm like, I know. Like, it's not a big deal. But like, there are friends. I have seen friends like break up. Like, they're like, we are no longer friends, and it's official. It's just so funny to me. It's like, friendship is one of those things where it just kind of happens, and then if you stop being friends, it's just because one of you just moves away or you just don't see each other anymore.
Yeah, I
It's
feel
not
like I was gonna say. I think the only way I've only had the official "they're not my friend" conversation with myself. Like I've never had it to someone else. It was
Yeah.
always to me. Like
I've had
I've
people-
had it.
I've
They're
had
not my
friends
friend
talk about
anymore.
that to like people. They're like, we talk about it, we're not friends anymore. I'm like, why?
It's like I'll give you a hint. You know what friends do? Talk. Why are you talking? I've said it before. I've actually said this to someone before, but I was partially joking. She didn't take it as a joke though. This is actually someone I know from Virginia. This is very early on. This was a while ago, but I hadn't seen them for a long time, and they did the old "we're friends until I start dating someone, and then I'm never gonna talk to you, and even if you try and talk to me, you don't." Which I get. I'm not really holding against it because I know people do that because it's like you're preoccupied, especially if someone doesn't live in Virginia, because I didn't
Yeah.
live in Virginia. At
Well,
the
also
time,
like
so-
if it's like if you're both if your friend is a girl and she starts dating a dude, it makes sense to not be talking to another dude all the time because it makes
I know, and like I get it. So this isn't something I'm really holding against her. But she did kind of disappear, and I didn't know she was dating anyone, but she just was like talking to me a lot in general, and then she just disappeared. And we were like friends. It was just friendship, right?
yeah.
So then I came back to Virginia and I hung out with her, and I hung out with a mutual friend of ours, like somebody that her and I both knew. And then as a joke, I was like, oh yeah, like I was saying goodbye to this other person because I was hanging out with them, and I was like, by the way, tell so and so we're not friends anymore. And then he just laughed. He's like, why? And I was like, because she doesn't talk to me anymore. She's not my friend. It's not, she should talk to me. So then I hung out with her and I said that to her too.
By the way.
But I said a joke. I was like, FYI, we're not friends anymore. But she actually didn't like that I said that. She was like, you said you're not friends. I was like, okay, I was kind of kidding. But I also am a little annoyed at you for not talking to me after a while. But, I kind of get it.
Well, I hate when people do that. Like, even I had guy friends who start dating somebody and then just shut everybody out. Like, I get, you're dating somebody. It takes up a lot of your time. You're trying to see them every day. I feel that. But at the same time, you don't want to.
Yeah, but Saturday is for the boys. Like, you got to come hang out sometimes. What happens if she leaves? What happens if you guys break up? It's like, who are your friends then? You got to have friends outside of that too.
Yeah, I always make it a point to still hang out with friends a lot if I'm dating somebody. Because also you need your bros to talk about like relationship stuff. They want to know what's going on in your life. You want to tell them what's going on in your life. You got to have a break from all the girliness. Like, not that girliness is bad, but I'm not a girl. But I hang out with the bros. It's right. Good. And like
I said.
And for me, I'm all about like guys like helping each other become better men. You have accountability. You have like people to talk to about your problems, or they can like keep you in check if you're acting stupid. Like even if you're not treating your girl right, they can call you out. Mm-hmm. It's good for you.
That's like a new thing right now. It's like the new quote unquote modern man, because there's all this like different stuff going on in general, and what it means to be a man, quote unquote, is like slowly changing around currently. Where it's like all of a sudden we have beards again. Like everyone's got beards, right?
We have beards.
And then it's like, all right, so we're not really doing construction work, and we're not always wearing a suit and going into work and coming home with like you know what I mean? Like there's like these different stereotypes of what it meant to be a man before, and now it's more of like you go to work and you work at a desk, but then you come home and you eat healthy and you exercise and you got a big beard and you're strong, and then you have hobbies that you go do, and it's like it's kind of shifting, and it's like a different, I don't know. I think it's kind of interesting to look at what was considered manly before and what is considered super manly now, and I don't know. It's interesting.
I think a lot of it's similar in the same cultures. Like I think in the South, we live in Virginia. Well, you lived in Virginia, and it's basically the hat of the South. You have a lot of Southern people here, kind of the South. Like
they hate. By the way, they hate the South in Seattle. Like they hate it so much. They always complain about it.
They are the
worst.
I'm
like, there's a lot of normal people there. Okay, there's a lot of regular people. They're not all evil, horrible people.
Yeah, most people I know in the South are really awesome. They're really nice.
I know. It's like, stop being a hater. Stop being a hater. Yep. There's just a lot of normal people. Stop being prejudiced.
Racist. But so what was I saying? Oh yeah, like in the South, like I know a lot of guys who are still the same as their grandpa. Like they still like, oh yeah, I got my guns. I like work hard. I ain't got them sissy skinny jeans on or nothing like that. Like you still got a lot of that. Even young dudes, like I know guys who are my age who still act like that. Yeah. But I think in like, I don't know how to say it. Like I guess the more liberal culture, like being a man like isn't. I don't mean this in a bad way, but it's not like it's not one definition now. Mm-hmm. Which is, like I said, is not bad, because not every man is the same. Not every man is like, some men are strong. Some men, their strengths are in their intelligence. Some of them, their strength is in their strength. Some they're more athletic, like they're fast. Some are like really heavy lifters. Some are artistic. Some are architecturally minded.
When I said this to somebody, like I know I always say that too. I'm aware of it. I'm aware that I say that a lot, but it's true. Because I did say this to somebody. I said this. We were at a Brazilian restaurant. This is proof. We were at a Brazilian restaurant where you have a little thing that you put on the table and you flip it up upside down, whether or not you want them to bring these like big slabs of meat over to you. It's really cool. So that's where we were, and we were talking about like men and women, and the girl I was with was talking about how men don't spend all of this money that women spend on like makeup and to look good, like to get their nails done, and to get their hair done, and to get whatever. Girls tend to spend a lot more money than men do.
Yeah.
In that aspect. And I said, yeah, but that's because a lot of girls tend to compete with beauty because men notice beauty. So they do things to make themselves as beautiful as possible, because a lot of men we look at that kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
But I was saying, and this goes both ways to a certain extent. But then I said that with men, we compete with status, whether that means being strong, smart, more funnier, louder, better. We compete like has the higher status.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot of different hats. Whether it's like I said, who's the strongest? Okay, well, I'm not the strongest, but I'm the smartest. Okay, I'm not the smartest, but I'm the most charming, or I'm the funniest. And like we kind of find these ways to compete with each other for status. Because with men, it's like girls don't look at men in terms of beauty the same way that men tend to look at women. Like they still do. I don't want to. The problem is anything I say, someone's gonna be like, "I want a beautiful man."
I was literally just like, sitting here quietly waiting for you to talk. I was like, whatever we say from here on out, people at home, we don't mean in an offensive way. If you disagree with us, let us know in the comments.
That's right. You can. You have a tweet. You have a Twitter.
You have a tweeter.
I've set up to Twitter so you can tweet us if you disagree. But the thing I was saying is that, like, in general, like, this is what I feel like I'm competing against. And the girl that I was talking to said she felt like she was competing for beauty. I feel like I'm competing for status. And so those are two anecdotal examples. That's all you need to show like that some girls deal with this and some guys deal with this, because there's at least one example of both. But I think that's interesting. And so what might have been like, oh, well, like whether people are getting, this used to happen in high school all the time. I noticed that people would be talking about guns or like knives, paintball guns, or like cars, and everyone was always like trying to top each other.
Yeah.
Well, my car's faster. My car's faster. Well, my car's faster. My car's louder.
Even if none of them had them, they're like someone be like, oh, this gun's so cool. Oh, yeah, well, this gun is even stronger. Oh, this car is even cooler. Like they don't, they don't even have it. They're just saying who they know.
And they weren't competing for better sounding speakers. They were just competing to see who had more bass. And you'd go into their car, and it's like you'd sit down and then just fall out.
You just hear it.
The window. Yeah, it was like your car's gonna break. You know, like it's gonna shake apart. Like all the screws are falling out because of all the bass. But it was a competition to see who had the higher status, the more bassy speakers. You know, and I think that goes in a lot of different ways. Happens in sports all the time. Happens with music, bands.
Yep.
You know. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Trying to think of
automation stores.
Wait, before we leave this topic, I don't know if I should talk about it. Okay, I'm gonna pause here. So
do it.
If you don't want to talk about it, we can cut it out.
All right.
Okay, so today my friend and I. Oh, was it today? Yesterday, my friend and I were working. We were working on this house that's being remodeled. And we were like, I was just wondering. I was like, so, you know, how like in straight relationships, there's like, you know, there's a guy and a girl. The guy, like guys are naturally like dominant and competitive. So generally speaking, not every relationship, but generally the guy is like,
it's like
in charge, or at least wants to be in charge. You know, the guy's like, all right, like the guy is the dominant one physically. The guy is the dominant one.
Chauvinistic pig.
The guy, you know, if he's a, okay, we'll say like a normal masculine man. Whatever I am. Say that they
I don't care.
Are in this conversation. I know you don't, but I don't know who
let's say that it's okay.
A cisgendered man. Say a cisgendered man is in a relationship. He wants to be the provider. No, I'm talking about a specific person.
Is that even a word? Who made up that word?
I don't know what it means.
Who made up that word?
I don't know.
Spell it.
The liberals. I
don't even know how you
CIS.
spell it. It's funny because when I was trying to write, I think I was trying to write privileged and what was the other word? It was some other word and I couldn't spell it.
What even is this? White privilege? I never heard of
privilege. It was another. I think it was like. Oh, I don't remember, but it was like privilege and misogyny.
Equality. Misogyny.
I couldn't spell them. I couldn't spell either word.
You're like, what is that?
Go.
Privilege.
That's kind of funny.
No, so
it's like screw that word. That word's impossible to spell right.
I was wondering. I was like, so you know, like a normal, like a cis whatever man in a relationship.
Stereotypical.
A stereotypical man in a relationship wants to be like physically dominant. They want to be the strongest, obviously, than their woman. They want to be like you know.
Right. I concur.
They want to be like
an anecdotal example of this.
They want to be the provider. They want to be the strongest. They want to be smarter. They want to be better, not because it's a competition between the two necessarily, but because that's their role as a man. And
yeah, that's the way we feel like we, just like women in general, want to be beautiful. Maybe there's some that don't. I don't care. But like in general, they do, just because they just do. So men, it's like we want to be strong and to be able to provide because we just do.
Yeah.
You know?
So then like with your bros, your friends and stuff, you guys, you're not dependent on each other, so you want to be the strongest or the coolest or whatever, or at least equal with the other men, right? It's competitive. Mm-hmm. Even if you're friends and you're not actively trying to like beat the other person, you want to at least be equal or better than your peer. So I was thinking, like in a homosexual relationship, say it's two like normal, quote unquote, like cisgender, not cisgender, but like would they be cisgender? Just two normal gay dudes who just.
I don't know what that word means.
I don't know what it means. Cisgender, I think, means stereotypical, like straight. So
cis.
Like you and I
why
are cisgender.
Cis?
I don't know what it means. I don't know why. That's what
stupid.
I am.
I don't know who made up that word.
The liberals. So if two homosexual guys who are otherwise like normally masculine, whatever that means, like how do they decide who is the better one, or like how does that work? Are they competitive with each other? Does one try to be dominant and the other one's also trying to be dominant? Does one just submit? Like I don't know how it works.
I don't know.
You're talking to this other guy. There's this dude who works with us who always starts off really weird conversations. Like he'll just say something super weird, but then like me and my friend will always continue them, and he's never ready, and we kind of weird him out sometimes, which is hilarious because he always says the weirdest, freaky stuff. But as soon like he says it to shock people, but then if you continue it, he doesn't know what to do, and he's like, "Oh man, what did I just start?"
He's like says something super weird, and you're like, "Yeah, that's a good topic." He's like, "What? You weren't supposed to say that." What?
Doesn't usually work that way in his experience.
He's like, I don't know how to work with this.
So yeah, but like we were just wondering, how would they decide? Because like with two bros, like I had one particular friend. We were friends. We've been friends for a long time. We're kind of competitive. Like I'm bigger and stronger than he is. So I joke like if we were like people joke that we're gay sometimes. Like, oh, you guys hang out so much, you're gay. I was like, yeah, but I'd be the man. He's like, why? I was like, well, I'm bigger and stronger than you. He's like, oh yeah, well I'm better at this. I'm like, oh yeah, well I'm better at this. So it's
you guys are like hypothetically competing for a hypothetical thing that's not real.
Right. Well, I do want to be bigger and stronger than him. But like if it's two guys who are just normal, like say there's two masculine dudes who both care about being strong and care about providing, how do they decide? What happens? Do they fight?
If we want to take a realistic like turn, it's like you can do that even with men and women, because it's like sometimes you get women who are more like in control and want to be more dominant and stuff like that. So then the man just is a quieter guy, because it kind of goes both ways.
But the difference is,
if you have a man and a woman and they're both hyper competitive, like I've seen this before. I've seen this in like one of my friends' relationships where they both wanted the spotlight, and so they would just compete for it and fight for it, and then they made each other both uncomfortable because they both wanted to be in charge.
Yeah,
and that's annoying.
But I feel like the dynamic is different between like men though. There's general competition, but I feel like the drive to be the alpha male or whatever, I think is different. Because, like if they're competing against a female, you don't, at least I don't feel pride if I beat a woman or something. I'm not like, ha, I'm a stronger man than you, because she's not a man. Like, of course, whatever. I'd rather be, or she might be better than me at whatever. But the point is, it's not the same. I'm not.
If you did more like lifts than your sister.
Yeah, I'm not like, oh yeah, suck it. You're so small and weak, little girl. Like, yeah, she is a little girl, so it's not a big deal. But even if she was amazing at lifting, say she could lift more than me, and I ended up beating her, I'd be pretty stoked. But it's not the same as lifting more than another guy that I'm competing with, or as another guy that I know.
Yeah, I don't know why that is. I think it's because, in general, like if you think about the last 1,000 years, and like. All right, fine. I'll walk on eggshells. Maybe this isn't how it should be. Maybe. But for the last 1,000 years, men have mostly just competed with each other because we're trying to impress women.
Right.
In general, so it's like we're kind of used to if I was like hanging out with a girl, like and we were just hanging out and I took her to golfing, and I like screwed her like once. I was like, yeah, I won, and like beat her and like rubbed it in her face like, ha ha ha, champion. It's like probably not going to get me a second date because it just
probably not.
most of the time it just doesn't work that way.
But if you're with a guy and you beat him, and you're like, ha, you totally get a second date.
Yeah.
That way he can beat you the next time. You're like, all right, well, let's go out again.
All right, date's on number 2. I got to try to win this time. But so the point is, it's like for a long time, when maybe the urge to compete with women is just not there because in general we haven't really our society just hasn't gone in that direction really, and so
in that context, the woman is the prize. So you're not competing against the woman; you're competing against the world, basically.
Yeah, like I don't want to like win against a woman. I want to win her over. It's like I want to win her heart.
So if it's two guys that are both competitive and both like
I want him to lose and back off because then I'm the alpha dog.
Yeah, I don't know. I also don't really want to go down that road mentally. It just paints bad pictures in my mind.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's true.
I don't know what they do. So hey guys, if you're gay out there and you're like both like regularly cisgendered men in a gay relationship, let us know how that works.
I just don't understand. You guys are regular men that are, or if you're straight men that are in a gay relationship, just let us know. It's like, what are you saying, Michael? All right, so automation.
Yeah.
You were talking to me about that earlier, or you were talking to somebody about it apparently.
Yeah, same guy. When you're painting houses, painting is the most boring thing ever. So we talk about everything. Like we figured out parenting, economics, road hunger.
Figured it out. It's like it's done. We solved it.
We actually thought about starting
it's
a
like
podcast.
A math equation.
We thought about starting a podcast. We've already talked about everything though. We'd have to talk about it again. It wouldn't be as good the second time. Anyway, but yeah. So like how
just set up a microphone in the painting room and just talk and then record the whole thing.
I was thinking about doing headsets. That'd be easier. Then we can just walk around and we can be in different rooms and hear each other.
True.
Maybe we'll do it.
True.
So
do it.
But
just do it. Just do it next week.
Just do everything.
I'm serious. Like people need to just do. I know some people that just talk about doing things and they don't do them. And it's like, just do it. Just start a project. Start a podcast. Like this podcast.
Do it.
I thought about
do it.
I thought about doing it in like July, and then we like recorded our first episode, or maybe not July, maybe like March or something, and then we started recording in like July because I just put out the text and just said, "Hey, does anyone want to be on this podcast?" And look at what happened. Like we did it. Decided to start it. I don't know. I just pushed.
Where was I going?
Okay, so anyway,
so
you're talking about to your painting friends.
Yeah, so Amazon, they have their automated stores where you go in there and you grab what you want, and I guess you scan on the way out, or it scans you, and then you just leave.
Out.
You just leave with the stuff, and they don't have anybody there. And they obviously people are gonna steal stuff, but they figure the ratio of stolen stuff and purchased stuff isn't gonna hurt them bad enough. But what if more stores end up like that? What would that mean?
Mm-hmm. Like if it was more mainstream.
Yeah, it would change. Obviously, it would change the workforce like crazy. Because imagine you go to work in a factory to make everything that goes to the Amazon store, and then you go to the store afterwards and there's no one there. You just go and you just grab some chicken and you just leave.
I mean, there's a lot of discussion in general, just in society, about automation and how it's going to affect jobs in general. Mm-hmm. So everyone's always talking about the trucking industry because we got self-driving cars now.
Uh-huh.
So it's like, what's going to happen to all their jobs? Because we're not going to need truck drivers. We're going to have automation, like cars that drive themselves. And so with stuff like Amazon, I was trying to figure out how you break that in general. Like if you just went up to someone and were like, hey, I'm too short. Can you hand me that thing off the top shelf? They take it off the top shelf and you're like, ha, free stuff, and you leave. Like how would it track that, right?
I
don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? But it's just really weird. And the more that the more that the world's automated and even autonomous, where you don't have to go do things with other people, I think it's definitely going to affect society as a whole, because people are already under socialized these days. I know tons of people who feel alone and don't have a lot of friends or don't have an outlet, and it's only going to get worse.
I was thinking about that when I was doing that keto diet.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sad all the time because I couldn't have any carbs or sugar.
Are you not doing it anymore?
Yeah, I stopped. I
Well,
couldn't do it.
We'll talk about that
It's too
later.
difficult. It's too difficult. It's you're just miserable all the time. And I was exercising a lot, but I just couldn't do it. And so, but one of the things I noticed was like, wow, I didn't realize how much I relied on food to make me feel a little happier. Like if my day's been going bad, I eat a sandwich or a little bit of pizza or a burger or something, which isn't like, oh, I had cake. It's like just bread. It's like I was like, crap, I really just feel sad and like I want this type of food. And I was thinking that it's interesting in general. I think we have more crutches than we realize, whether it's food, TV, social media, alcohol, drugs, weed, whatever, that we use, and we don't even realize that these are things we use to suppress feelings. And so I was wondering, like, what would happen if you switched all that off, every single thing that you use as a crutch like that? And I feel like more and more people would just break down and just cry. Like, they'd be so sad, and they'd just cry, but then they'd feel better because it was like, oh, I needed to cry. But we suppress it. We're like, no, can't feel this, can't do it. Smoke some weed, drink some alcohol, eat some food, go on watch TV. It's like we have to find a way to kind of like push it down.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just thinking about that the other day, and because I realized how much sadder I was getting when I was taking away more and more of the things that I used to kind of dull it, which is whether that's food or alcohol or TV or sitting around or whatever, and I don't know.
That's interesting.
That was kind of a tangent a little bit, but...
Well, yeah, because... No, it kind of goes with it, because basically my point was how would that affect people seeing less people? Because I firmly believe in seeing people and being with people is the best way. And for me, like, I'm pretty extroverted. I like anybody else, I like to be alone and have my me time sometimes. But, if you... Where was I going? Oh, yeah. Like, for me, like, if I don't see somebody for a long time, like, if I'm home all day, say I have a day off and I have nothing really to do, I just get kind of sad. I'm just sitting there like watching YouTube videos with nothing really important going on. I'm like, oh man.
But see, I feel like
sucks.
the YouTube videos are just enough of a stimulus to keep you from like being really sad, like sad to the point that you're desperate to get out of it. Because I know that when there's a couple things
I get sad, so I turn on YouTube. I'm like, oh man, I need to like not be by myself.
It's just enough. It's not great, but it's just enough to like tide you over for the day. Because I noticed like when there was a couple different things I was giving up all at once. And, I was getting desperate. Like, I was like, who's out? Let's go do something. Let's go hiking. Let's go shoot bow and arrow. Like, I just was like, I got amped because I was like, I can't be home. I got to go do something. I got to go. Let's go.
Yeah.
And I did so much that weekend because I cut out all the things that I used to distract myself.
Yeah. That can also tie back into what you were talking about earlier about, like, productivity. You just cut out like social media or whatever. Everyone's always like, "Oh, social media is so bad," but we all use it and use social media to talk about how bad it is. But if you cut out just something that you waste your time on, like TV or whatever, you have so much more time.
It's true. It really is, and that's why like when I talk about going to the gym or eating healthy or hanging out with people or whatever, and if I'm not doing it, I make it a point to not give myself credit and say, "Oh, I don't have time." Because it's usually, no, I didn't make time.
Yeah.
Because it's the truth. It's like, well, I didn't have enough time because I sat on YouTube for an hour.
Yep.
Or I didn't have enough time because I just sat around, right? Or I ate for too long, And so it's like, I don't want to get the credit like, I'm so busy and popular. It's like, no, I just didn't make the time because I'm not managing my time well. That's why.
So then what do you think about like rest? Obviously rest is important, but sometimes you look at things like, oh man, all I did that day was like,
that's what the Sabbath is for, Mike.
True. My Sabbath is mad busy though because I work at a church, so I'm like 5 a.m. up there doing stuff. But like about probably every 2 weeks I have a day where I have nothing to do that day. Like I'll have no work that day. It's usually like a Monday every other week is kind of like my
generally I think you should have like really one day where you're not doing very much.
Yeah. And those days,
but not doing very much still means like, okay, you sleep a little bit more and you rest and you take it easy. But I think if resting means I'm going to sit all day and eat chips and watch TV and pig out and mess myself up for the rest of the week, that can be a problem too.
Yeah. You gotta rest, but you gotta be smart about it. It's sometimes some people, they have so much going on they have to get done, and they're like, I need to rest because I'm going to die. But like if I don't rest, if I rest, I won't get all this stuff done. And then other bad things will happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I have had that happen, and a lot of people have that happen where they are stuck. Like, well, I need to like take care of my body, but I have all these responsibilities, and if I don't do them, then I'm screwed. And they don't know what to choose.
I mean, part of that is time management outside of scheduling. It's time management in terms of commitments.
Oh yeah.
You know, like, are you committing yourself? Like, I felt that way when I was doing my short film, where I had a day where I almost collapsed and was like, I'm doing too much, you know, between the vlogs and the podcasts and the short film and all the stuff that's going on and full-time job, and then trying to hang out with people. It was like, it takes you a long time to hit that limit, but you'll know when you're doing too much.
Mm-hmm.
But don't be afraid. I'd say most of the time, don't be afraid to try to do more, because you'd be surprised how much you can do, you know, how many different projects and activities you can do with your free time.
Yeah. That was my problem in college, though. I was doing, you know, an internship to help pay for school and, like, you know, to get more experience doing stuff. And I was also in a band and working, and it was like just too much stuff. And I was kind of covering all my bases. Like, well, I don't want to miss out on like being in this band. I don't want to miss out on school right now. I don't want to miss on doing these things. I want to hang out with these people.
Yeah.
So I literally just like burned myself out, and I just did everything mediocrely.
Well, I would say that I think that's better than the latter. It's better to do too much than not enough. I think.
Probably.
Like when you're just not doing anything.
But it's good. It's better to do one thing amazingly than several things not well.
I have opinions about that,
Dude.
I don't really agree.
So you should talk to my friend Nathan. I remember.
I think you should do as many things as you can at like 85-90%.
Well, yes, like my friend Nathan, he always jokes on me because he plays bass really well. He's been playing piano for like 20 years and stuff. And I remember I've been playing guitar for about 4 or 5 years when I met him. We were in a band together. And I was like, dude, I think I want to learn the cello. He was like, no, you can't learn the cello and guitar, Michael. I'm like, you literally play bass and piano. Shut up.
You could. Why not? Why can't you learn both?
He would say that.
The thing is, I have this argument because like if I learn new things, they translate into other things. Mm-hmm. I'm better at basketball because I learned guitar.
Yeah, you learn because then you understand patterns. You're like, oh.
Yeah, I understand rhythm. I understand staying loose. I'm a little bit better at like having a strong movement, but still being loose about it. That's all through guitar and drums.
Especially in related things. Like, you know, if you learn guitar and learning cello, it's like, oh, I gotta figure out how this cello works, but I already know all the rules. I just gotta learn the mechanics of this particular
Right, but then it's like, okay, now I learned cello, and I learned guitar, and I learned piano, so now I know melodies and basses. I know the layout of the notes. I know how to play drums, so I know a little bit about rhythm. I know how the mechanics of the drum work. I know how to play guitar. I know how to play bass because I know how to play guitar. I know, like, and so it's like, now I'm coordinated by all these instruments, so now I'm better at basketball. You know, and it's like, and I'm good at basketball.
He did
so
say that now. He did say that now I'm good enough at guitar that I'm allowed to learn cello. Progress.
He was like, you can't do anything after this. But the point is, it's like, I think people should not restrict themselves to one thing, because my guitar playing will get better if I do other things outside of guitar.
Yeah, I agree. And especially with I guess, like, arts, they all play into each other. The more you know about music, like Luke, the better you'll be able to apply music to your scenes that you make in your short films. Mm-hmm. You can say you can think about it, and even if you don't know music super well, you can have an idea what to do.
Music is very similar to the rhythm of editing too.
Oh yeah, and it's often set to music. So if you know music and you can, you know, somehow split up your, I don't know how like editing grids are, but if you can like match it up with the beats of the song you're using, you can easily visualize where you want to put it, and you can just see like, okay, this is on the 4th beat here. I can tell by looking at it, so I'll put this clip right here, so it like, boom, hits right at that note or whatever.
Right.
If you didn't know music, you could do that, but it would take a lot longer.
Yeah, and I don't know. I really want. I hate it when people just say like, well, I should learn one thing super well. I don't think you should do that. I think you should learn a bunch of things the best that you can. And I think that there's nothing wrong with focusing on one.
Several others that you can kind of do.
When someone says, I'm not going to play bass or I'm not going to learn. I knew someone who said, I would not learn bass tabs because I want to be able to play by ear. Mm-hmm. And so he never got good at bass ever because he never really learned it.
Yeah.
You know, he couldn't play any songs because he just would kind of ding around, get bored, and then not play anymore. And it was like, well, because you restricted yourself and said, I'm learning this one thing, you didn't like connect the dots between all the different aspects that go into it because you just hyper-focused on one.
Yeah. Oh, so that's another interesting thing. I don't know what this applies to besides music. So if it does apply to something you know, let me know. So you know music theory, right? I don't know if you know music theory. But you know what it is.
I know more than I think people realize, but I'm not like an expert, but I do know quite a bit.
But I talked to several people who play guitars, usually guitar players mostly, and like most guitar players don't really know music theory. Guitar kind of has its own like guitar method, which is kind of music theory, but with all the chords named wrong. And
okay,
I often talk to them about like learning theory, and a lot of them say this, and I said this when I first started. Well, I noticed it when I first started. I was like, well, I don't want to learn theory because then it'll make me less creative, because then I'll be put in a box. And even when I first started playing, I think I initially started making less creative stuff because like I was like, oh, now I know that this chord fits here, so I'll just play this chord instead of just messing around until I find the note that I want. Right. And so like once you learn all the rules, you can be put in a box because then you're like, oh well, I know exactly where to go now, so I'm not gonna like mess around and try to find it.
Well, I think because you got to learn it as not rules.
Yeah, that's the next thing. Well, once you learn all the rules, then you know how to break them in more creative ways. So now I'm like, okay, like say I'm in the key of C, which is all, there's no sharps or flats in it, and I'm like, well, if I add a G sharp to this E right here, it'll give it a Spanishy sound. Or if I want to like take the C or take the F, which is the fourth interval of C, and make that a minor chord instead of a major chord, it'll like make it sound more somber here, like give it a different, like a kind of maybe a jazzy feel. I can now I can say what I want to other people, like, oh, okay, I want to play this chord this way, and they can just do it. I can also write music and learn music in my head now because I understand how it works. I can visualize my guitar in my head and like, all right, this note is this note. So if I want to play it, I just play it. You know what I mean? And people are often afraid to learn the rules of stuff, especially in art, because they're afraid that it'll take away their creativity, which it can if you let it.
Yeah, I think that's an excuse, honestly.
Oh, it is, because music theory is hard. It doesn't make sense at first. You got to really work at it.
I think that it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know, you're making excuses when you really just don't want to do it. And you found a way to convince yourself and other people that it's okay to not do it. It's like me saying, well, I need to get my license, but I feel like if I got my license that I would want to drive fast and then I would crash my car.
If I got my license, I wouldn't walk as much and I'd get fat.
Do you really think that, or do you just not want to go take that test? Because if you don't want to take that test, at least man up and say, I don't want to take the test. But don't lie to yourself or to other people about it.
That's true.
Anyway, we need to wrap up this podcast. So, any plugs, Michael?
Yeah. So, all those bands I mentioned earlier. I guess Keycentric, check them out. We're doing lots of stuff. We're playing at the Sunrise Festival in Virginia Beach this weekend. We're playing at Regent's Spring Festival at Regent University on whatever next Saturday is, the 28th. The Burning Hearts is a band that I'm in. My buddy Taylor Helm heads that up. He's really cool. We're coming out with an album, I think either July or June 22nd. So go check out The Burning Hearts on Instagram. Just at The Burning Hearts, all one word. And since I'm coming out with an album, check out my SoundCloud. I don't really know, my name is Michael Dimas, spelled MichaelDimas. So it's kind of like my Instagram, but not really. And yeah, and check out my Instagram, Michael Dimas, but it's spelled MyKolDimas. It's all complicated. I need
Sweet. All right, and you can follow me on Twitter at Luke Roxwold, and then you can follow my YouTube channel, Luke Roxwold Vlogs, and Luke Roxwold Films. That's my other channel, so just check that one out when you get the chance. The film is coming Sunday. I'm showing the movie to people on Sunday. I'm really excited because I'm over it. I want this film out. We're doing it. I'm so excited. We're almost finished. There's a few more changes we're going to make, but it is coming out Sunday.
Woo!
This Sunday.
Not someday.
22nd.
Sunday.
Yes, so check that out when you guys get the chance. I hope everybody enjoys it. Thanks for listening to this podcast, everybody. Woo! Please listen to our other episodes just so that we can be supported and be awesome. Tweet at us at WAI. Oh, no. I was on a roll. WAITSB Podcast. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Outro music.